Diversifying your land is all fun and games until you realise you're starting to run out of land to diversify, especially when it comes to permanently scarring it with something like a roller coaster. But needs must when money is involved, and it just so happens there is a perfect plot of land just big enough for a junior coaster. Granted, it makes no sense for it to be here, but that's half the fun. And let's be honest, this roller coaster should have been the first thing added, not the most recent. But never mind, we are where we are. It's a roller coaster with so many twists, the Epstein files are taking notes. Hello you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2 and welcome to a surprise episode of Farmington Fields. Because I am officially on holiday, I am sticking to my guns with it, but I did say that if I was inspired to do something, I'll come into the game and I will do it. And I've just been to a farm park and it was so much fun, and I've seen things, not bad things, but I have seen things. So this is what we did in the last episode. It's our first official roller coaster. It's relatively thrilling. I mean, it's got a loop and it's pretty tall, and it's probably quite an expensive little addition, but it did need a counterpart. It needs a junior coaster to go with it. So nestled in a piece of land that the farm would probably sacrifice for this is a lovely little junior coaster, and it is kind of inspired by the Octonauts roller coaster. Really simple affair. Station, lift hill, peters its way round into the final brake run. It's not meant to be thrilling, it's not meant to be fast, it's not meant to be expensive, and it's not going to be Plumper Pop themed. So that's kind of like what I want to do. I want this episode, by the way, to be a short, quick episode. I'm only doing this in this episode. Like I say, I'm on holiday, I'm sticking to my guns, but there is a little bit of work that we need to do, and we need to continue the story, right? So in the last episode, I did say that I wanted to bring a path around this way, and I think I can bring a path around this way onto the main farm track here, and I can then put some farm gates here and maybe some farm gates here and here in amongst the construction fences. By the way, you guys love the construction fences, I love the construction fences. I'm going to carry on doing it because it's amazing. I love it. So what I was thinking, by the way, was that the main farm path here would still be okay, and you would probably be able to like not use this during operating hours because you can still get to here by coming around this way, right? So that's kind of how the farm would work, and they would choose the most profitable version of a setup, and I think this would be it. Anyway, what that means is that this then becomes a little bit of a plaza area, and then I can open up into this area here. Now, this is a relatively small area, and that's by design, but what that means is I'm going to be able to do something a little bit fun with some themes, and I think the fairy tale theme is probably perfect for this one, because if I take my usual walls, I can probably put some kind of fairy tale wall along here, and I can probably put some kind of fairy tale wall along here, and I can have an entrance portal then that feeds onto this, right? So it kind of hides the whole thing. Now, it's a relatively small area, so I've got to be careful with setup and space, but I have put a resurgence in, and I think I'm going to be able to do something tower type related in this space. And then over here, I do want to eventually open up another portal here, because of course this is all going to be developed in the future, but right now we're dealing with the farm as it sits as we build it. So we're going to need some kind of photo unit and a gift shop, so I think that's possibly going to be somewhere in, I don't know, like that kind of space. I need to bring the ramp down, so I don't actually know where it's going to sit, but then that leaves this space relatively open for a future pathway. And then I need to bring the queue of the coaster. If I choose this one, I'm going to bring the queue of the coaster into this kind of area, and then the queue for the resurgence will be in this kind of area. That's if the resurgence stays. So that's my plan. That's my thought. It's a small area. It's going to be a quick build. So here we go. So, spoiler alert, Resurgence didn't make it, and in fact, it was quite wishful thinking to think that it was going to even fit remotely in there anyway. I put the queue in, and then there was just no room for anything else, and in fact, that's the theme of this entire area. There's no room for anything, like to the point where I can't even put food shops and stuff in. That's why this little bad boy has been put in. We will come back to that in a moment. So this is the area that we're dealing with, and just to reiterate, this is one of those really quick, simple builds that I can just bosh out in an afternoon because I'm inspired. This isn't a massive time-consuming build, and I like it, right? I like it for that. So this is a fantasy castle-y type area, and Yes, simple affair because it's a junior coaster, so those stations tend not to be massively detailed, and in fact, we're lucky it's even got any kind of theming going on at all. So I think the fantasy stuff is going to really make this come to life. Like we've got all of this fairy tale gubbins that we can put on here, so I think, you know, like a couple of shields here and there, and maybe a sword like this and like this. I think I'm just gonna be able to spam around the in-game fairy tale stuff, and I think it's gonna work quite nicely. Are the flags in here? The fairy tale flags. I don't know. You're probably seeing it and you've probably gone past it. I don't know if they're in here. Hang on, what if I just type in flag? Yeah, there we go. These ones. So this kind of flag would fit in quite nicely on the top here. From down here, happy days. Call it done. So yeah, I think I'm going to be able to spam around a lot of the fairy tale stuff just to make it come to life. So the queue line then, I have decided to make it quite long. Originally, I did have the entrance here. I did a little bit of a test run before I saved the park and then let guests up here and stuff, and actually I needed a longer queue, so that's why the Resurgence didn't make it. So the queue wraps around the coaster here into another cattle pen, and then the entrance is actually now up here. Now what that did mean is it leaves me with this really dead space in here, so I could have put shops and stuff. In fact, that rotunda kind of shop would have fitted quite nicely in here, but then the area was too claustrophobic, and I've got ideas. I got some stuff for this. I think the dragon is going to go in here quite nicely. So if I go dragon, you know, the sleeping one, there we go. It's almost like I planned this. I definitely didn't put the dragon in, put the stuff around it, and delete the dragon for the purposes of this update. I definitely 100% did not do that. I did. So that fits quite nicely in that space anyway, and that now makes the area come to life. When you look down from here, you've got then the castle in the background. Again, it's like a really small castle. I like it. I am enjoying it. So I think the dragon works well there. I don't know whether I'm going to keep the special effects. What I've got to remember here is that this is still a farm park and this is still a junior coaster. So there's not a lot of money. There's effort put into it, but there's not a lot of money. There's not a lot of budget. Would it have had special effects? When would it have been built? Probably the 90s. Would it have had it? Well, yes, it would have done if it was Alton Towers, but I don't know. I need to play that bit out. So anyway, let's talk about the station, because I want to keep this really simple. I had just an open station. It's a junior coaster. It doesn't need to have anything elaborate. It doesn't need to have anything particularly expensive, but it just doesn't feel right. Geekism said it a load of times. There is a fine line between doing low detail well and being bad at Planet Coaster, or looking bad at Planet Coaster, and this is where you kind of have to cross that line a little bit, and you have to over detail stuff for it to be good. So I'm kind of towing the line a little bit here, and the station itself is fine. It's fine. It needs its clutter. We've just discussed that, but I'm happy. I'm happy with how this is turning out. There's a couple of like fences and stuff just to guide guests to where it needs to be. I think a couple of signs, exit signs and whatever, will also come into this, but it doesn't need to be any more than this. That's it. It's a junior coaster. So I have an idea for the future successor. Spoiler alert, I don't think this coaster is going to last when the farm park is bought out and it's made into a theme park. So I have an idea for a fairy tale elaborate station. So we'll cross that bridge when it is time. I did decide to put a maintenance area in because it's got two trains. It feels like you might need a space for one to be off the tracks if needs be. So there you go. I've put the maintenance area in. I'm just going to put some clutter and stuff in there just to bring it to life. But it's open air. It's fine. It is what it is. Again, it's a farm park, right? So there doesn't tend to be a big maintenance thing going on. I think the farm's only going to have two coasters anyway, the thrill coaster and this junior coaster. The rest is all going to be stuff. By the way, next episode I think I want to tackle the idea of the petting zoo. So I'm doing some research on that. I'm inspired to do that. Inside the ride area itself, I think the dragons can come back, I think I've got space. And this wasn't deliberate, by the way. This just happened. I think I've got space in here to be able to put the dragon there. And I think I can put one in here. And I think if I just set these to deactivate so they're not actually animating. I think that's going to work. He might need repositioning, but I think this guy is still going. What's he doing? I think... Just don't look. I think this dude is possibly broken. No, there you go. That's a long animation. So I think this dude sitting there, I think he's fine. He's going to need a little bit of repositioning, but ultimately, yeah, it's all good. So this is what I was talking about with the perimeter wall. You only need to put in what you can really see from the guest level. Again, it's a farm park. There's detail. There's not necessarily money. So... fine. And I'm kind of taking cues here a little bit from Legoland Windsor, because they do theirs quite well, and a little bit from Canada's Wonderland with that just that little bit with the castle wall, and that's all you see. Again, the fairy tale clutter on here is going to be absolutely brilliant for this. So I'm going to be able to put the stuff onto the walls. Actually, I'm talking like I got an idea. I don't. I was... oh, there's the other flags. There you go. They're the other flags. I was kind of hoping something was just going to pop out at me. It really doesn't. So this got quite awkward quite quickly. Hey, did you know it only takes 4 seconds for silence to get awkward? Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, we might have the witch outside. We might have more shields up. I need to put some clutter. I need to put some bunting. You know, where's the window actually? Where's the... if I type in castle, castle window, where is... what's the one? Oh, it's this one. I'm just going to see if I can grab it from over here. There you go. I'm just going to grab it from this building. So I can put a couple of, like, castle turret windows on. You know, like the archer windows. That kind of thing. That kind of detail. Call it done, right? That's pretty much all the park would need to do in that instance. So, I am thinking, by the way, in terms of terrain and textures and stuff. I think I'm going to bring the gravel up to this point. I think it makes sense. That's what we've done elsewhere. But inside here, for anybody that's run events in the past and anybody that knows about churn of the ground, you probably wouldn't want this to be the loose gravel. You'd probably want this to be more considered gravel, or you'd want it to be more compact. So if you take the in-game gravel path, you can sort of quite comfortably do that kind of gravel. It's still gravel, but it's been compacted and it's got a bed to it. It's almost like it's an official path that's not an official path. So yeah, let's probably run with that theme. And then this little rotunda, as I said, it could have fitted in there, but it just felt too claustrophobic, and I kind of wanted to have these sides closed. I wanted the vibe of Alton Towers, you know, the bit between Jewel, in fact they do them everywhere, but the bit between Jewel and Forbidden Valley, where there's a couple of rotundas that just sell stuff. So that's kind of what I wanted to do here. It's got a bit of a medieval fairy tale vibe to it, but it's cool. I like it. So I'm just going to put some of the kitchen clutter in there and then call it done. So there you go. That's how it's looking from the top. As I said, I just want to bosh this out in an afternoon and be done with it. So that's what I'm going to do. I will see you in a minute. Oh, guys, I absolutely love it. Look how it's turned out. Like, it's so good. It just fits the area so well. And I mean, let's be honest, there is no logical sense as to why that's there. And there's no reason for anybody to go down there because it's a junior coaster. But it sits all so pretty. And I love how it looks. Like, this here is probably one of my favorite views because we've got the rotunda and we've got the gate and we've got everything. I'm absolutely love it, right? I can't wait to show you around. So I'm going to start down here. The dragon. Yes, I did turn the special effects off. There's no reason why there would be special effects. It's a farm park. They tend to not do that sort of thing. So maybe if it was the theme park, yes, it would. But no, I've I've turned it off. I have put a little sign up though. It says, "Don't climb, I bite." That's the sort of thing that you'd find in like a British farm park, and I have put them around. Then of course we've got the fence and stuff, and I've put some foliage just to sort of give a little bit of bulk, a little bit of a personality, and yeah, call it done. By the way, there's loads of like smaller little details that were in the previous update and I just didn't show you because the update was just going to get too long otherwise. So for example, down here we've got a buggy park, so making use of the dead space down here. This is a place where you would park your buggies, or for my American friends, strollers. So yeah, you're sort of like, as the kids are queuing and stuff, this is where you go. By the way, I've just realised we haven't done the honours I'm chatting away, and we haven't done the honours, so let's do that. There you go. Now we are officially open. Oh, by the way, I don't know if this is actually going to work properly, because I haven't tried it since the paths have properly been in, so we'll find out together. Love it. So yeah, so there's a stroller park, and then round here we've got the ride photos. I have actually just done a new iteration of the ride photos. I've put a little electric box and stuff in here, just to, you know, make it a little bit more realistic. They would have these sorts of things if you have a look at the ones at Alton Towers and whatever they would. In fact, I'm kind of toying with the idea that a fun park might not even have ride photos. I don't know whether that would just be a little bit too much for this park, but I know small parks that do it, so it's, you know, it makes absolute sense. Recolor the dragons and reposition them ever so slightly. I didn't want to do too much else with them, to be fair. Like they're really cool from down here, and again we've got the queue line and stuff. By the way, no name. If you want to name it, feel free to. It's in the comments. I'll choose my favourite one at some point. I will do it at some point. So just drop your names down there. And you can see that I have also changed the train out. I did want this to be the generic train, but actually it makes sense for this to be the dragon train, so I've just swapped it back to being the in-game generic one. And I love how this sort of sits in the area. You walk in, there it is. Dragon is right there, and then I just put some foliage and stuff along the outside of the fences, just to give it a little bit of depth. It needed a little bit of kinetic movement when the train goes past, or at least the imagination of kinetic movement when the train goes past. You can imagine the train's going to come around here and the bushes will move, so it gives a little bit of, like, I don't know, a bit of depth to the actual area. And I have just put these little cypress trees around. Do you remember that I was telling you in a previous episode of one of, I think it was Fantastica, about Hyperia, that's got those random 4 trees? I'm still using that. I'm dining out on it because why not? So it kind of felt like I needed to break up this idea of the wall, so you didn't have to decorate the back end of the wall as much. So you just put the cypress trees in, and that's called done. And I'm happy with that. Just stop there. And then you do have the gate. I am so glad we can now resize things, because the portcullis from the pirate theme, absolutely perfect for this. Like, it felt like it needed to be a proper castle. I don't want to do a moat and stuff because, well, spoiler alert, there's some stuff that's already in the park that that needs space in front of the castle. I don't quite know how I'm going to work it from a health and safety perspective, but there's stuff in anyway that you can probably guess. In fact, you can probably see it because you're going to download the park. Anyway, whatever. There's the gate. And I kind of like it. I did toy with changing the colours. I didn't want this to stay red and blue, but when I did change the colours, it lost some of its spark. It lost some of its charm. I don't know what it is about the original Planet Coaster colours that just makes it feel right. So I've kept it, and I'm happy with that, and it's all done. Then this bit out here, I have just put the gravel and stuff down. Now I have decided to dirty up some of this, because of course tractors and whatever would still be using this area as the park, well, the park, not when the park's open, but certainly when the park's closed. So it would be churned up, and it would, you know, have a little bit of damage and stuff done to it. So but there's the farm gate. I love the farm gate. I'm so chuffed with it. So simple. It's something so simple but so effective. There's the rotunda. I have just put some of the kitchen stuff in the background again, just to give it depth. It's not in any way, shape or form a realistic version of what this rotunda would look like, but it's, in fact, it's probably too big as it is, because it's only a thing that would sell sweets and drinks and stuff. But hey, whatever. I've put in some branding with So Delightful, so happy days there. And then I have just given it a little backstage area, tiny little backstage area, and then a bit of picnic benching and stuff along here, and then just bringing this bit to life just with some bins and whatever. But again, you need to keep it clear, because outside of park operating hours, this is a working farm, so these benches would probably be moved out of the way, and then tractors would go to and from using this bit of the road. So we're done with that. The station, then, I didn't really do too much else to it, just a little bit of like detailing, so a couple of shields up. I decided to copy across the bunting to the back of the station. It felt a little bit unsymmetrical, and then I have just put some of the flags up on the back, and it just makes it, you know, come to life a little bit more. But again, I didn't want to do too much to it. It's a junior coaster. It just didn't need the level of detail that some people are probably going to expect. But I'm okay with it, right? I've put a custom flooring down, and then hidden the texture of the path. So it's actually now consistent, and it's all that stone effect. Again, it would be stone effect. It would be like poured concrete that's been patterned. You know, when you can put template patterns and stuff into it, it would be no more than that. It wouldn't actually be stone. And then I have just put some warning signs and stuff along here, and then just kitted out some of the maintenance area that's living in the back there. Dirtied up some of the terrain around here, and then I have just put the concrete base for this type of coaster. So this type of coaster at the bottom of the lift hills would have this kind of concrete base where all the electrics and stuff are. So I've just copied that across, and I use it in all of my other ones, right? All of my other parks, so it's fine. I love this little high five moment, by the way. I sort of timed it accidentally, but I kind of like it. I like that there's that little high five moment. It's not just a simple churn through, load and whatever. So yeah, I love it. And then you just got the gift shop. I've kept this really simple. This was kind of in when I did the last update, but it wasn't really ready to show. So there's the photo units. I have actually found out that each coaster has got a car version of the photo, right? So it takes the entire train, and you can actually set each screen to be all 10. No, sorry, one of the 10, if that makes sense. Each car, you know what I'm trying to say. And then you've just got the overall one that's living down here. That's just like up front. And then the gift shop, I've just put some stuff down, a couple of the shelving units and whatever. It's only a small gift shop. It's certainly not the main one. It's just the one that you exit via, and then just a bit of fairy tale stuff that's living around the walls and stuff. And I'm happy. I'm happy with it. And yes, the answer is they are going to use it. The guests are queuing, so I'll take it. I'll take that as a win. So there you go, guys. It's a random roller coaster in the middle of a field that probably shouldn't be there, but I'm alright with it. It's an afternoon's work. It was one of those thoroughly thought out but hastily put together kind of builds, and I love it. I'm here for it. So next episode, I am inspired to do the whole petting zoo thing. It's going to be in this kind of area, but I don't know what it's going to be. I need to make sense of all of this connection here, so watch this space, I guess. Thank you for getting to the end of this episode. I really do appreciate it. So we're going to go for a ride on the Junior Coaster. I will see you for the next episode. Don't know when it's going to be. I am officially on holiday, so let's chill out. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.